And then I was like, you know what? They're $100. I'm an adult. We're getting pigs. It's my choice. So we're getting pigs. It's been a slow start this morning, but I'm super excited to have this weekend. Sam comes home from his boys camping trip tomorrow, and I've got lots of ideas for how to improve the garden for today and a few jobs that I need to get done, so I'll take you along the way. What I did notice this morning from our balcony is that I think I might have a few nasturtium flowers coming up, so I'm super excited. Let's see. You spot the little orange flowers? Oh my god, they're so beautiful. Oh, that's so exciting. Oh, I'm so excited. I never thought that I would enjoy flowers in the garden. I've always been someone who's been like, if it's not edible, what's the point of it taking up space in my garden? But I don't know, something's changed this year. That makes me super happy. All right, let's give you a quick garden update since it's looking beautiful this morning. The broccoli has done really well. I'm noticing that now that it's autumn time and it's cooler, I'm not having as many of those bugs that I had issues with before, which were the cabbage moth. There's absolutely none of them here. So the heads have started to come up. I've already harvested that big one I've shown you guys. I do have some more broccolis in the garden here. And so now that there's no pests, or there isn't those cabbage moths, I think these ones are going to do a lot better as well. So just a note to myself for next season, it's better to plant out the broccoli into little pots and then plant out the seedlings come autumn time when it cools down and the cabbage moth isn't around as much. All right, my pumpkins, you can see I've got this one left and the big guy that grew really well at the back. Those guys still have a few of their leaves and are still growing, which is why I've left them. But I've pulled out all the rest because they just stopped growing. So our plan for our pumpkins for next season is I really liked Robyn from the Nature Patch. She actually had a whole pumpkin patch where she just let her pumpkins go wild, and honestly it looked really beautiful. So we've got our bracken down there, which has just been a pest in our pasture. Looks awful. Doesn't really do much for us, and I researched and you can actually turn that into really good mulch. So we're actually planning to mow it down, slash it, cut it, and then actually lay it underneath some of these fruit trees. And also, if we do end up getting pigs next season, I hope we do, we might not, but if we do get pigs, bracken is actually really good to create compost with. Because the way it spreads with the root down the bottom under the ground. That's how it germinates and how it creates more plants. So by cutting it, it's actually not going to create seeds in the compost pile. It's actually going to break down really nicely, and then it's not dangerous or anything for the soil or for consumption after that. So brackens are really good mulch, and it's also really good in your compost pile. I left the gate open so the chickens are on the deck trying to eat my herbs. Yes, you better watch out. Get out. Come on. Go. Get out of here. Come on. Lead him out, sir. This area right here is amazing for annual plants. Like the zucchini has had so much space. The tomato has really thrived in this area. So I really do want to extend it all along this space. Maybe grow some different eggplants, different tomatoes, zucchinis, all of those annual plants that just need that extra attention and love. One mistake I made with these tomatoes is it was a really great learning experiment, but you can see how bunched up they are. There's so many leaves, or the vines are just about everywhere. So next season, I'm definitely going to be on top of the pruning game, because I feel like that way I'll be able to transplant more of the suckers and actually get more fruit out of it. You can see there's so many tomatoes, but they are all still green. I don't know if the season just got cold too quickly and these guys didn't quite get there in time, they didn't get enough sun, or whether there's just too much growth and these guys don't know when to stop. But next season I'm going to have a few different varieties of tomatoes, and hopefully they'll go red at different points, because I love tomatoes and I've had to buy a lot of them. The zucchini as well, I think next season I'll be more vigilant about actually tying it up so that it doesn't sprawl out, it actually grows up against a trellis or something to hold it up, because that's looking a bit ridiculous. So I've really been trying to keep that work-life balance happening, make sure that I'm not feeling like I'm missing out on being here in the garden and doing what I really want to be doing. But I'm definitely excited to have a whole weekend, a whole week where I can really get these things done. And I can't wait to see what this garden will look like come springtime. The compost pile is looking amazing. The olive tree is a bit hard to prune right now, so I'm just going to have a go at the fig tree, which does seem to be a little bit softer and easier to prune. So I'm cutting down all of the leaves on the inside, which are going to have a hard time getting sunlight. I'm going to prune the top of the tree, most likely with a saw, because I don't think my pruning shears are quite going to do the job. So that's going to allow the plant to get a lot more sunlight. It's also going to create a lot of airflow so that the tree can grow stronger and create better fruit. A lot of these leaves have actually started to go through the netting, so those are leaves that I definitely want to cut. The problem with these ones that are on the outside is they're massive, so it's really hard to actually have the shears go through them. So I might leave those and do them after with a saw. I always wondered why trees were so bare in winter, and it's just because you have to prune them back so hard. By pruning them back as much as I have, sometimes people go even further than that. Some people go right down to the skeleton, which is like the trunk and a few of the big branches, because all that's going to do is encourage all of those new branches to start coming out. So the harder you prune, which means the closer to the trunk you get, the longer you're going to have to wait for that new growth to come in before you get fruit again. So I'm hoping I haven't done too much, and I'm still going to have lots of new growth come out in springtime, ready for some fruit next autumn. You can see that there's still so many branches coming out from the top of the net. A lot of those branches are actually really thick inside, and so I just can't get my pruning shears through them. So I've done the best I can with the tree inside. I've tried not to take off too many limbs, but where they're coming close to the net here, I did want to cut that off, because otherwise next season it's just going to go straight through the net again. So I think these kinds of branches still need to be cut back, and I'm going to need the saw or Sam's help for that next time. All of this is now going to become compost, and luckily I have my new compost pile right here ready to go. I'm absolutely loving spending the morning here this morning. I feel like I'm going to be outside all day today. This is bringing me so much joy. The olive tree, I've kind of cut away some of these branches coming towards my face because it's annoying. And I've cut away most of the branches coming towards the feijoa tree. The last thing I want to do is kind of gather the feijoa tree branches together and tie them up with this hay string that I have left over. Never throw these out. They're super useful for either your compost bins if you make a pallet one like us, or for tying things up like your tomatoes, your feijoa trees, anything else that you might do. So I'm hoping by tying this up together, it might encourage the plant to grow up and out instead of just out. It's still looking a little bit weird, so I think come winter time I might chop a few more branches off and just encourage new growth with this plant, because it's really been struggling underneath the olive tree. You guys saw how covered up it was, and I think it needs a whole new boost in life, but I really want feijoa fruit, so I don't want to cut it back too much. The lemon tree, as you can see, will also need a major haircut, but it's not the time to do lemon trees yet. That is a winter job. I am going to leave it for now, and then in a month or two's time, I'm going to collect all the fruit that's left over and then really give it a really good pruning, because it's crazy. The next job in the garden is actually to pull out some of these corns. I've already harvested the ears, so they're not going to produce any more, and I want to start preparing the autumn and winter garden. First step is to pull out these corns. Second step is to bring in some pallets to line the back. Anyways, I better start pulling out some of these corns. Oh God, look at that, massive. And this can go straight into my compost pile, which is getting very full. Oh God, a lot of the root's still in there. That one's massive. Okay, that one came out easier. So I've exposed this whole side, and I'm going to have to work quickly because otherwise the chickens are going to notice, come over and start digging in my garden. So I better work quick. So eventually I do want the pallets to go the whole way through this garden. Because they have the holes, they're not creating too much shade for everything behind them, and they're going to be a great support for whatever I want to climb up. Oh my God, but this root system under here is just crazy. I wonder if it was the straw that has done this, or the corn has bigger roots than I thought it did. Whatever it is, not good. You guys see this? Always Masha. So guys, that's as much as I can put the screws in. I feel like either it hasn't screwed all the way into the other wood, so it's just not going in, or I'm doing something wrong. So I'm just going to leave those for now and get Sam to help. Masha! Why is it always you? You're too big to do that. Your roosters come to save you. Beautiful. No more chickens. All right, so there's the garden so far. Imagine these pallets coming all the way across, or most of the way anyways, to create a bit of a trellis. Another one of my jobs is actually to pull this out and put it somewhere else. The reason I want to transplant this aloe vera is because it's just spreading out. It's got too much water, it's trying to escape. It doesn't look very nice here, it's kind of just sitting on the floor. So I'm going to give it a nicer spot. I'm going to create, I hope, like a drip irrigation system that will go over to the garden, so that as the hose leaks, because it kind of leaks a bit, all that water can be feeding the garden. And then it's not getting wasted. This garden has been bringing me a lot of joy, and I think if there's any part that doesn't bring you joy, that is kind of an eyesore and makes you want to avoid it, then you're better off getting rid of it, because if it's here, it's just going to create a hassle every time you go out. You're never going to want to look at that area, so it's just inevitably going to get worse and worse. So So I'd rather pull this out and move it somewhere more beautiful. Stay tuned for this area. I thought I was already having a great day, but it's just gotten so much better. Check this out. A lady on Facebook has just advertised pigs. So at first I contacted Sam and I was like, can I please have them? Please, please, please. Like, we've been talking about pigs for so long. And then I was like, you know what? They're $100. I'm an adult. We're getting pigs. It's my choice. So we're getting pigs. We've decided together that the best decision is to get 2 males. They're going to be brothers or sort of related. They're going to be castrated, which means they can't breed. The reason we chose to do that is because they're going to get along better because they're going to be brothers. We're not going to have any trouble trying to breed them in our first year trying to own pigs. They're going to grow a lot bigger and a lot leaner, which means better meat for our freezer. And pigs, you guys. I am so excited. So that does mean that Sam and I are now on a time crunch. We need to get everything sorted, organized and prepared for these little pigs who are currently being weaned off from their mums and will soon be ready to come to our property. So it looks like come springtime, we're not only going to have meat chickens on our property, but we're going to have a couple of pigs as well. We're very quickly settling into this life, which I'm not mad about.